The Frontman is the new leader of the Squid Game, and he is doing everything he can to crush Gi-hoon's will once and for all so that the games can continue forever. He has the blood of thousands of people on his hands, and that hasn't changed in Season 2. However, what if I told you that the creator of the Squid Game gave us a huge hint about his character's future in the final season, and how it will end? Because in Season 2, behind the mask we see a man who is quite empathetic because he understands the pain and suffering of someone who once had dreams and plans for the future. But how did he go from being a man who sees good in everything to being someone who calmly eliminates others as if it means nothing? This is the mystery we are about to unravel, because Hwang In-Ho is a man shrouded in tragedy. Behind the scenes, the host ensures that each test is carried out with precision, upholding the twisted sense of justice that Old Man Il-nam believes in. However, to the host, this is not just entertainment for the richest people, but an equal second chance for those who have been broken by life. After all, the cruelty of this world once broke him too. That's right, Hwang In-Ho's journey into darkness didn't start with games, it started with a life that once seemed stable and happy. A dedicated police officer, In-Ho was known for his honesty and unwavering moral principles. He upheld the law, believed in justice, and was an example of what it meant to be a good guy for the people. But unfortunately, fate was merciless to him. In-Ho's life changed completely when his wife was diagnosed with a disease that was rapidly progressing. She was faced with a choice: terminate the pregnancy to focus on her own survival, or risk everything to give birth to a child. His wife, full of determination and hope, refused to terminate the pregnancy, believing in the possibility of a miracle. But unfortunately, no miracles happened. Desperate to raise money for a liver transplant that could save his wife's life, In-Ho turned to any means possible for financial assistance. He borrowed from dangerous loan sharks and eventually accepted money that his superiors in the police force misinterpreted as a bribe. The money came from a criminal. So, despite years of loyal service, In-Ho was discharged. The accusations tarnished his reputation and robbed him of the stability he once relied on. All of this left the hero in despair. He couldn't even donate his own kidney to pay for his wife's treatment because he had already donated one to save his younger brother, Hwang In-Ho, many years ago. That sacrifice left him helpless at a time when his wife needed him most. So, with no other choice left and time running out, In-Ho made the fateful decision to become a participant in the Squid Game. The promise of a huge cash prize became his last hope to save his wife and unborn child. So he became participant number 132 in the Squid Game, where he had to face the most unsightly sides of human nature: greed, betrayal, and cowardice. But despite everything, he emerged victorious. But the victory came too late. By the time he returned, his wife and child were already dead. The money for which he had risked everything now meant nothing to him. Thus, the man driven by love and a sense of duty became detached from the world around him. It was at this moment that he was found by Old Il-nam, the organizer of the games, who used his disgust at the cruelty of this world to offer him a place in the Squid Game system. It was a chance to find meaning in a life that had taken everything from him. With no incentive to return to his normal life and no hope of redemption, In-Ho became the lead. In-Ho embraced his new role with the same dedication he once had as a police officer, only now his sense of justice was warped. He became an enforcer of the warped rules of the game, ensuring their fairness at the cost of his humanity. The games provided him with the structure and control that the chaos of the outside world lacked. For In-Ho, the outside world was a monstrous place where greed and corruption reigned. The strong destroyed the weak, and justice was an illusion. The games, on the other hand, offered the possibility of equality. Everyone had an equal chance to win, regardless of their background or social status. In-Ho's belief that the games were a better alternative to the chaos of the outside world explains his devotion to their philosophy. However, under the mask there was still a man who was consumed by pain and regret for his past. In-Ho's path from an honest man who sought to preserve life at any cost, wanted to become a happy father and devoted husband, to a man who turned into a ruthless killer who played with people's lives was difficult and thorny. Now he was the one watching all the horror of the Squid Game from his room with monitors. When the first test of the 33rd Squid Game began, he called his superiors to let them know everything was ready, then sat down in front of the giant screen, sipping whiskey. Even outside the games, he had complete power. In the first season, when the Squid Game was temporarily suspended, after the players voted to end it, 93% of the participants returned. The frontman ordered the guards to monitor the remaining players who had not returned and report them. However, it seems the host's unlimited power extends beyond the players. When one of the soldiers was exposed, his mask was ripped off by a desperate participant. The host immediately entered the room and eliminated the soldier without hesitation. This change laid the groundwork for a possible ending. In the comics, as we have already said, it is not Butcher who kills Homelander, but his clone, who is not present in the series. In addition, in the show, the leader of the Seven is shown to be virtually invulnerable, and unless Ryan follows in his father's footsteps and becomes his killer, this makes the task of destroying him even more difficult. And this is where Butcher's new abilities, demonstrated in the 4th season, come in very handy. They will be the key to victory. His tentacles easily tore apart a high-level super, which was Victoria Newman. Therefore, theoretically, they can be deadly for Homelander as well. This would generally be a logical conclusion to their confrontation. It was clear from the start that their conflict would be the central element of the plot, and that it would be Butcher, despite all his moral decline, who would be the one to put an end to the tyranny. But there is a small discrepancy here in the person of Soldier Boy, who, as we were promised, would play a very important role in the finale. Therefore, there is a third version of the ending, which we like the most so far. Considering that Eric Kripke emphasized that Soldier Boy was brought back to reveal the relationship between father and son, these two supers will arrange a kind of internecine war. Homelander has an unresolved conflict with his son, and he himself is the son of an equally extraordinary super with the same unresolved conflict. During a misunderstanding, Soldier Boy can use his power to deprive Homelander of all the abilities he values so much, and at the same time, all those who will be nearby. Then he will become an ordinary person, above whom he considers himself throughout the series. Ryan, on the contrary, would be glad to lose this power and become ordinary. But the final battle will already happen with fists, the old-fashioned way between Butcher and Homelander, in which Billy has always been good. True, there is also a discrepancy here, which lies in where in this case the virus deadly to supers went, and whether there will be a final skirmish between Billy and the boys. In the comics, after defeating Homelander, Butcher tried to kill all the supers by upgrading the virus. This resulted in the death of the entire team, except Huey, but the series has shown more than once that it is ready to deviate from the original source and rethink it. Therefore, the finale of the 5th season is the main intrigue and may become not only the end of the story, but also a new beginning for the franchise, opening the door for another spin-off. In any case, we should also prepare for an emotional and unpredictable ending. At the edge of a cliff, Jun-Ho was trapped with no way to escape. Face to face with his brother, the host gave him a chance to survive if he handed over his phone and gun, knowing that Jun-Ho only had one bullet left. However, to his surprise, a police officer shot Frontman in the shoulder. As the soldiers raised their guns, the host ordered them not to shoot. He then removed his mask, revealing his identity, and turning to his brother, begged Jun-Ho to come with him, but he refused. With no other choice, the host picked up his gun and shot Jun-Ho, sending him plummeting off a cliff into the ocean. But did he really think that this was certain death for his brother? In Season 2, we learn that Jun-Ho was rescued by a passing fishing boat. However, it turns out that the fisherman was collaborating with the host. So, it is entirely possible that In-Ho ordered Captain Park to rescue and take his brother, but to ensure that he never returned to the island. Meanwhile, back at his apartment, Frontman bandaged his wound. Looking in the mirror, he was haunted by the image of his brother's face, asking why. The moment was a tragic reminder of who In-Ho used to be. Those same ideals were now reflected in his new opponent, Song Ki-hoon. The host accompanied Ki-hoon home by car, congratulating him on his victory and revealing the essence of the Squid Game by comparing the contestants to racing horses. In doing so, he ignored Ki-hoon's questions about the morality of the games. However, especially after Il-nam's death, the host could no longer ignore the heroism of Ki-hoon's beliefs. Previously, he had fully accepted and justified the brutal philosophy of the games. But what if there was another way? What if Ki-hoon was right? Years later, In-Ho goes beyond his role as a performer to test Ki-hoon's beliefs. For he represents everything In-Ho once was, or perhaps everything he could never become. Like the host, Ki-hoon has experienced loss, betrayal, and despair. But where In-Ho has given up, Ki-hoon clings to hope. This contrast highlights the depth of the host's internal struggle. His interactions with Ki-hoon often feel deeply personal, as if he is not just testing Ki-hoon's beliefs but also struggling with his own. The way In-Ho desperately tries to break Ki-hoon is clearly an attempt to validate his own decisions. If Ki-hoon ultimately succumbs to the cruel logic of the games, then In-ho's current moral compass will seem vindicated. But if Ki-hoon wins, it will force In-ho to admit that he was the one who made the mistake. So when he learns that player 456 is returning to the Squid Game, the MC decides to not just watch from the sidelines, but to personally participate in the trials. The frontman's hidden agenda suggests that he sees Ki-hoon not only as a reflection of his past beliefs, but also as someone who needs to be tested and ultimately broken in order to validate his worldview. To prove by showing clearly that humanity is inherently flawed, driven by greed and selfishness, so the host lets Ki-hoon make all the decisions in the 36th Squid Game, seeing where his beliefs take them. But things don't go quite as planned. During the harsh games, In-ho quickly becomes part of Ki-hoon's team, gaining their trust despite some minor slip-ups. For example, he called Ki-hoon by his first name, even though they hadn't introduced themselves yet. However, his strategic skills and teamwork helped form a strong group, and together they overcame many challenges. You would think that all 5 of them are practically friends. In-ho participated in every game, doing everything he could to help the team succeed, but he never forgot about his true mission. For example, in the pentathlon game, he made sure that Ki-hoon was happy with his role so that he could ultimately prove him wrong. Even in the spinning top game, In-ho intentionally pretended to be having trouble with his weak hand. We know this because he is left-handed, as was evident when he shot his brother. Only by switching hands did he complete the task perfectly. However, he was stalling for time by putting everything on Gi-hoon, and without In-ho's help, Gi-hoon would have lost. During the game on Carousel, In-ho's mask began to slip, and Gi-hoon's best friend, Jong-bae, became suspicious. First, it was his uncanny ability to predict the number of players required for each room. Jong-bae's suspicions grew when he later witnessed In-ho brutally and without hesitation eliminate a man to ensure his own survival. This left Jong-bae deeply shaken, causing him to doubt his teammates' true character. Then, the tension in the games escalated as chaos erupted in the dorms as players began fighting, each hoping to increase the prize money by eliminating each other. But this was also part of the host's plan. In Korea, kimbap is not known to be eaten with a fork, but they were given to all the participants. It was Frontman's plan to provoke a monstrous massacre. While Ki-hoon helped his team survive, In-ho knew he had won their battle of ideas. After the fight, Ki-hoon organized a highly risky plan to rebel against the soldiers, taking their weapons in a desperate attempt to gain freedom. However, in order to succeed, human sacrifices were necessary, as Ki-hoon argued, which confirmed In-ho's ideals. The host joined the rebellion along with Ki-hoon and Jong-bae, fighting to survive and protect his group. However, the moment came to stop his game when Ki-hoon went to look for the control room. In-ho asked if he wanted him to come with him, but Ki-hoon refused, taking his best friend Jong-bae with him, which ultimately sealed his fate. Later, during an intense shootout, In-ho used his knowledge of the building's layout to get around the soldiers on the other side. He cold-bloodedly killed the 2 players who were with him, then faked his own death to keep his true identity a secret. Afterwards, he left his role as a player and became the host again. That's when he met Ki-hoon face to face. He eliminated Jong-bae right in front of the protagonist, and this act only emphasized his cruelty. But what will happen to the host next? The creator of Squid Game compared him to Darth Vader and Ki-hoon's path, to the choice between the Jedi or Sith side. Considering the voice modulator, black suit, and mask, the inspiration for Darth Vader in the case of the frontman is too obvious, especially considering that he tried to persuade his brother to join the dark side. So it's very likely that In-ho will eventually believe in Ki-hoon's philosophy and sacrifice himself by eliminating the VIP guests and ruining the Squid Game. But what do you think about all this? Write your opinion in the comments, and that's all from me. Thanks for watching, and see you in new videos.